Let's do a little bit of history. Vamos a un poquito de historia, con la gente mía, con la gente dominicana. Vámonos para Santo Domingo. Let's go to the mirror balls. La Maribales, la heroína de nosotros. Vamos a poner un chin de la Maribales. Let's go.
From 1930 to 1961, thousands of people were imprisoned, tortured, and murdered under Rafael Trujillo's dictatorship in the Dominican Republic. Three sisters would go on to lead an underground revolution. But while their courage inspired many, it threatened the man.
So what they failed to tell you is that the revolution that they were championing, what they were fighting for, was communism in the Dominican Republic, led by Fidel Castro. They were trying to topple the government. They were not just playing. They were not playing. They had a plan at hand. They had weapons. Fidel Castro was sending them weapons. They were basically infiltrated guerrilla fighters. They won't tell you that here, though, but it's the absolute truth. So if the Maribel sisters would have had their way, the Dominican Republic would have been another communist island. Just like
in power, and their lives would come to a tragic early end. Trujillo rose through the.
Another thing they won't tell you here, these motherfucking leftist motherfuckers, I could already tell, is that Trujillo only killed them when he found out that they were actually moving against him with weapons, that they were actually in contact with Fidel Castro, and Fidel Castro and Trujillo were bitter enemies, ideologically and personally. So they kind of did it to themselves. I mean, if you were under Trujillo and you have weapons to take down the government, if you do that in America, you die. So let's put things into perspective.
Military ranks during the United States occupation of the Dominican Republic. He assumed power in 1930 through a coup and rigged election, and created a system that enriched himself and his allies. Trujillo's family.
Also, he developed the country in a way that it was said like a miracle. It was said that it was a miracle. That no one else could have done that what he did. We had three roads. We were more backwards than Haiti. This is all facts. You could check this out. We were more backwards than Haiti, and at the end of Trujillo's era, we were the number one country, and we still are the number one country for safety, investment, lifespan. Even education. Well, I think education not anymore. In Central America. Yeah, mention that real quick also. He just didn't get himself rich. He made the whole country rich.
Alone controlled 3/5 of the country's gross domestic product, including monopolies over salt, beef, and newspapers. He renamed the country's capital after himself and expected his portrait to be.
Yeah, we had a more booming economy than we do now, and way less. I mean, there was more corruption because he was corrupt. He ran the country like his personal hacienda, so he was corrupt. But I'd rather have one corrupt guy than 100,000 bureaucrats that are corrupt. Because that's what's going on now. Things are worse now. Everybody will tell you that. A lot worse.
He displayed in every household. And he committed atrocities, including the massacre of thousands of Haitians. All the while, a secret police force maintained his power by targeting.
Now, even though I don't advocate for any of these historical murders, you have to also put things into perspective that Haitians and Dominicans are like enemies, man. It's not that we're enemies personally. I actually love Haitians very much. When I see a Haitian, I just think about home. They remind me of home because they're just in the Dominican Republic, and we're kind of a part of each other. But historical facts are historical facts. I'm not sure if it's the Magna Carta or the independence paper of Haiti says that that Haiti is as far as a Haitian can walk. So basically, if a Haiti walks to the yard and walks all the way to the capital, all the way to the end of the other end of the island, that's Haiti. Why I'm bringing this up is because there's always been a lot of wars, a lot of bitter animosity, and Trujillo's from another era. I mean, the Haitians have massacred the Dominicans way more than we've massacred them. They've tried to take us over 28 times. Excuse me, 28 times have these people came over and slaughtered us in wholesale and tried to genocide us, tried to have us kill anybody that looks like me, kill people that want to speak Spanish, they want to just Creole on the island. So and when Trujillo ordered their death, he also told them to leave. He had given them 3 months to get the hell out of there because they were there illegally, and they were taking lands that weren't theirs, and they were circulating their coin in the country. They were not being part of the economy, so they were making commerce, but they were not doing it with the Dominican peso. They were doing it with the Haitian coin. So they just needed to go, and they were not listening. So Trujillo decided to do a punitive expedition and kill them all.
Targeting opponents at home and abroad. The Mirabal sisters grew up in a middle-class family in the countryside. Their parents sent the 4 sisters, Patria.
That's also a lie because you need to understand that the Mirabal sisters, that wasn't middle class, that was upper middle class. There was no middle class in the era those times. You were either fucking upper middle class or dead broke. I could be wrong about that, but I don't understand how these women that were, they were rubbing shoulders with Trujillo. How the hell were they middle class? I don't believe that. They try to make them a lot poorer than they were. They were kind of, to me, they were kind of the not the aristocracy, because you have to have a lot of money for that. But they were part of the of the high social hierarchy of the Dominican Republic, which is why Trujillo wanted to sleep with one of these girls.
Dede, Minerva, and Maria Teresa to one of the country's best boarding schools. There, Minerva met.
You see how that shit don't make this? You see how these people don't make no sense? How you gonna go from the middle class to the country's best boarding school? And they didn't have programs in the yard for good grades. That's bullshit. They were upper middle class, dude. They're trying to sell you a simple story when things aren't that simple.
Met a classmate whose relative was killed on Trujillo's orders. She began seeking out strong voices of opposition and discussing issues of oppression and justice with her sisters. While Dede stayed out of politics, Minerva, Patria, and Maria Teresa
they were talking about communism. They were fucking communists, dude. Communists.
Became invested in changing their country. However, the Mirabal family's safe standing soon collapsed. In 1949, they were invited to one of Trujillo's parties, which served as his personal hunting grounds for young women. Declining the invitation was not an option. Despite Minerva's attempts to avoid him at the reception, she eventually danced with Trujillo, but rejected his advances. The Mirabal family left the party early, which was seldom done and considered disrespectful to the dictator. Their father, Enrique, was imprisoned and family property was confiscated.
Now this is definitely true right here. This is what Trujillo was a dirtbag. He wanted his way one way or the other. If you didn't know what he wanted, it wasn't gonna go your way because he controlled the whole country. He could take your property. He could put you in jail. He was basically God in that motherfucker.
Minerva graduated with highest honors as one of the first women in the country to receive a law degree. But she was denied state authorization to practice, a process Trujillo oversaw. While
You see that right there? This man is so intertwined into our country. That still goes on in my country. That's from his era right there. And back in the Trujillo era, you couldn't really do anything if you were not in his good graces. No matter how good you were at something. You saw what happened to her. Now this still happens. This has been passed down because Trujillo, they got rid of Trujillo, but they never got rid of the system. That's why Dominicans are full of shit. They're full of shit. The system was fucked. They got rid of him, but they kept the system so they could keep doing dirt. So the same thing still happens in the Dominican Republic. You can have a degree, and if you don't know the right people, you ain't doing shit with it. So it's actually dumb to study the Dominican Republic. You would be dumb to go to college in DR and spend a whole bunch of years if you don't know nobody. You might as well just start working and saving and have a business.
Studying, Minerva met Manolo Tavares Justo. He shared her political convictions, and the two married.
Another fucking communist. Communist motherfuckers. That nigga was a fucking communist.
In 1955. They watched as armed revolutions launched throughout Latin America. After Trujillo crushed
communist revolutions throughout Latin America. We're talking about the 1950s here. You know what I'm trying to tell you? The late 1950s. Why don't they just say communist? Why don't they say it? You know, because they're fucking with you. They're not being honest with you. That's why I wanted to do this video. These motherfuckers aren't being honest. Take it from a Dominican that knows his history. These people are bullshit. I bleed Dominican. These people are fucking lying to you. They're trying to sell you a narrative that isn't true.
An attempt to overthrow him in 1959, they began to prepare a revolution of their own.
Of course, because in 1958, Fidel had just taken over Cuba. So Fidel wanted to do a double whammy. Fidel actually wanted to take over the Dominican Republic first. So these people were intertwined. These people are enemies of capitalism. You know what I'm trying to tell you? You can say whatever the hell you want about Trujillo, but he's on our side. He was a capitalist. He killed communists is what he killed. And people that, you know, that he personally had problems with. But he mostly killed fucking communists.
Mirabal sisters and their husbands formed the June 14th movement, along with many others from the middle class. Codenamed Las Mariposas, or the Butterflies, the three sisters organized and attended clandestine meetings and distributed pamphlets detailing Trujillo's violations.
Communist takeover. There you go. Don't be fooled with this romanticism. Who knows what these people would have done had they taken over. We already know what Fidel did.
In January of 1960, they called representatives together from all over the country to establish the movement's structure and prepare an uprising. But it was not to be. Trujillo had spies everywhere. Soon, many revolutionaries, including Minerva and Maria Teresa, were arrested.
That's another one that's kind of a half-truth. Yeah, Trujillo has spies everywhere. That's definitely true. But it wasn't like they were paid spies. They were the citizens. The citizens had an actual love and admiration for Trujillo. Listen, that could have been mixed with fear. I think respect is always kind of mixed with fear. But the Dominican Republic wasn't a place that you would go and just start about Trujillo. People were gonna be like, yo, come get this guy. People genuinely love Trujillo. I mean, I don't know how to tell you guys this. Maybe you guys just don't get it because you're from a different culture. But in the Dominican Republic, we love that motherfucker. All right, we just do. Most of us do. But there's the small minority that's powerful that won't let us express it. You know, there can't be any statues of him. You know, you might even get arrested for defending Trujillo. I wouldn't put it past the government. Wouldn't put you in jail. But don't think for a second that Trujillo isn't a venerated person in the Dominican Republic. He is the most venerated person in the Dominican Republic. In my opinion, you could be a white person, and if you keep your ears open, you hear his name be mentioned. Still to this day.
During this time, Patria found creative ways of transmitting information to and from imprisoned rebels. Fearful of losing the support of the U.S. and the Church, which had recently begun to criticize him, Trujillo released the sisters while leaving their husbands imprisoned. But they continued to threaten his regime's stability and his.
Notice that the United States never backed the Mirabal sisters or the husbands, even though the CIA knew that they were doing what they were doing with the weapons. That's what the CIA, when they murdered Trujillo, it was with the CIA's weapons, not with those weapons, because the United States wanted nothing to do with these fucking people, with the Mirabals. They knew they were fucking communists. Because the CIA wanted to kill Trujillo. This was the perfect time to do it with Manolo and these chicks, but they didn't because they knew these motherfuckers are going to be communists.
His ego.
Which is why they had Trujillo there in the first place, because the island wasn't in real danger of being a communist island. And Dominicans are so stupid, they would have turned right over and done that shit, believe me.
November 25th, as the three sisters were returning from visiting two of their imprisoned husbands, Trujillo's men stopped their car. The sisters, along with their driver, Rufino de la Cruz, were asphyxiated and beaten to death. The men rolled the jeep off a hill to frame the murder as a car accident.
Unfortunately, as a Dominican, we all go through this. Yeah, we all like. I think a good 85% of us have families have been brutally murdered, like if they were animals. It's just how we are. Most of us, anyway. I think most of us have an ability to fucking kill you. It's just in the culture. I'm sorry, it's YouTube, but I try to be honest here. You could disagree with me, but fuck out of here, nigga. Go to DR and see how violent it is. Very beautiful people, but in that same culture, there's an inability to lose temper and just kill you, even though they don't mean to kill you. They can just hit you over the head with a bottle and stomp you twice in the head, and now you're dead. And then they could feel bad about it before, afterwards, but they still fucking killed you. And that shit's normal over there. It's normal behavior.
Patria was 36, Minerva was 33, and Maria Teresa was 25. But Trujillo's plan to silence the Mirabal sisters and stabilize his regime backfired. Much of the public wasn't fooled by the flimsy cover-up. The international community condemned the assassination, and the U.S. closed its Dominican embassy and secretly invested in the anti-Trujillo movement. Months later,
Now, that was just the excuse they needed. It was almost like a tipping point because things were radically changing. You know, after the 1960s movement, actually the Cuban Revolution also had a lot of positive propaganda for, let's say, freedom of the people, which the Cuban Revolution didn't deliver, but it delivered to the people outside looking in an aura of freedom, a mirage, an illusion of freedom, because you saw, Hispanic campesinos marching towards the capital as white people ran the fuck out of there, and as the, big imperialist companies came down, Coca-Cola and all that. So it was a very beautiful thing to see. Even I think it's beautiful to see Hispanics together like that, accomplishing something as ridiculous as it was. The Cuban people were being abused by Batista. So like many things, there's truths in the midst of chicanery. There's always some truth in there. You know what I'm saying? So because of that, and the hippie movement, and the Vietnam War, the political atmosphere was this: America was like, we cannot have a dictator that we're backing, that is so fucking bloodthirsty and so strict and so crazy as Trujillo. So they were just letting go of all the dictators. So it was time to get rid of him, and him being so stupid, killing these people on a whim, like the Dominican would do, because he got upset. That's what happened. That's what they needed. So he did himself in. And this man knew.
later, former members of the Dominican military killed the dictator, bringing his violent 31-year reign to an end. Thanks to their family, especially their surviving sister Dede, the legacy of the Mirabal sisters would surpass the clutches of Trujillo's tyranny, even long after their deaths. Today, the Mirabal sisters are national heroes, with monuments and honors.
Not in my book. I'm sorry, and I respect them. They were Dominican women. I respect all Dominican women, really. But they're not heroes in my book. You guys are not heroes. What would you guys have done if you took over that fucking country? What, you were just gonna let it go and be democratic? Every time one of these communist people take over, that is not what they do. That is not what they do. I think they would have bit off more than they could chew, and it would have made a disaster. They probably would have ended up being murderers for, who the hell knows what Manolo wanted to do with their husbands. And you gotta understand, these are just bitches. Like, excuse my French, like, these are just ladies. You know what I'm saying? Like, Women don't run shit in the yard. Not now, especially not then. Especially not then. The minute that shit would have taken over, the Miraval sister would have took a back seat in the pages of society and in her personal life and in the pages of history. You know what I'm trying to tell you? Fuck out of here. Who knows what Manolo had in mind for the fucking Dominican Republic? It was probably gonna involve him, his penis, and a lot of pussy.
Honors commemorating their struggle. In 1999, the United Nations declared November 25th, the anniversary of their deaths, the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Their courageous fight for justice has inspired generations. Just years before the Mirabal sisters took their stand, a secret resistance group in Germany denounced the Nazi Party. It too was led by siblings. Hear their story with this video.
There you have it. There you have it. The twisted history of the internet. Fact check me. Just do your research. Fact check me. I'm out.